later and what he's doing with this organization. And that was phenomenal. So now you got a little information on Cherokee Edwards. Without further delay, let's bring you to the show. Cherokee Edwards.
What's going on? What's going on, Big D?
Man, listen, I'm still pushing, Cherokee. I'm still pushing. If it wasn't for the CMOS, you know, doing business with you, man, being motivated and being able to come out, you know, listening to you a couple times and the program that you're laying out was so phenomenal for me. I feel like I'm on fumes right now. That's what I'm saying. I just been going and going and going. And you know, being an entrepreneur yourself, we don't have no way. There's no other way to say it other than we have to be successful. That's we right. have to keep going. We cannot stop. We have to make it happen because we work for ourselves. We work for ourselves. And listen, Cherokee, listen, I appreciate you being here. Just to give you a little bit of a backdrop on this platform here with the Black Business Olympics, want you to know that it's a national platform. It could be people watching from all over the country and things of that sort. It's going out on all the different social media networks. And man, listen, I'm excited. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing in Philadelphia and North Philadelphia, to be exact, and what that was like for you, and how did your upbringing propel you into this author, entrepreneur, business guru that you are today?
Okay, well, you know, up north is very different from the south, or where I live now in Williamsburg, Virginia. So between South Jersey and North Philadelphia, that's where everything began for me. My mother and my father, they split up when I was 2 years old. And, you know, life was kind of rough. I'm the youngest of 4 children. So I was really determined to do something and make something out of myself. We had people that would tell my mother that her children wouldn't amount to anything. So a lot of things are depressing in the inner cities, right? And North Philly, especially, I remember, you know, when I would go back and forth. My father lived in South Jersey. My mother lived in Philadelphia. And I would go back and forth between the two parents. I was blessed, though, because I drew strength from both of them. My father was very sharp. He was an engineer. So he didn't play when it came to the education. He didn't play with, you know, I was going to be able to speak articulately. I was going to be able to do math. I mean, these were things that were just going to be a must. There was you didn't have a choice. You were going to do something or you're going to get broke down. That was just the way that's the way I grew up. You know, they didn't spare the rod. My mother, what I gained from her was the heart, the love, and the love of people. You know, my father taught me not to trust people. So I needed that too, because I didn't want to be, you know, you didn't want to be the person that just trusts everybody.
Right.
You know, now my mother was give everybody the benefit of the doubt, let them show you who they are, and then make the determination, but try to help as many people as you can. I started playing football at 5 years old. And it was Winslow Township Redskins. It was the Edgewood Eagles. Then it was the Winslow Township Redskins. Now, I grew up a Dallas Cowboy fan, so I can't lie. I'm from Philly. I know a lot of family members, they're not going to like what I say, but I used to get it all the time, especially when Randall and everybody was there because they beat Dallas on a regular basis. But the point was Tony Dorsett was the guy that set me on fire to play football. And, you know, this was back in the 80s. And I followed the Eagles because Wilbur Montgomery had a camp and he worked with me when I was in high school. So when I got into that level, you know, we were like, okay, there's something here. There's something here. Sports can be my vehicle to get out of the city. Mm-hmm. When I was 14 years old, I remember telling my mother, you know, she had a boyfriend at the time, and he's the one that said it where I actually heard it, that her kids weren't going to amount to anything. The boys were going to be in prison. The girls are going to be barefoot and pregnant and all these different things. So believe it or not, David, this was a police officer. So you expect this guy to try to lead me the right direction and give me some positive words, right? Well, it didn't come out that way. But he did something. I know a lot of people are mad when I tell them the story, but I said, you know what? At the time, I was furious. I'm not going to lie to you. I was furious. But what I will tell you is that lit a fire under me at that age, that I looked at him one day and I said, one day I'm going to have more than you and all your children combined, because he kept throwing his kids in my mother's face always. But I was the youngest. I really, I was still in school. There's no way I can't go make money now. I can't do things, to change the narrative that he set for him now. I can't make him wrong. But, one day I looked at my mother and I said, one day I'm going to give you the world and ask if I can live in it. That was just, it was something that just came from my heart. I didn't write it down. I didn't, rehearse it. It was just something that I said. Now, we knew I was playing football and I was getting very good, but even at the lower level to move up into high school. So we were like, all I kept thinking about was the NFL. I said, I want to go to the NFL. I want to make these millions of dollars. I want to take care of my mother first and anybody else second. Well, I was also in the ROTC program. So I was doing everything I could think of. It's going to be football or it's going to be the military. Something's getting me out of Philadelphia so I can go and spread my wings and not be distracted, right? Football was number one. I did play basketball as well. I did run track as well. But my number one sport was football, and that was my number one passion. I mean, I played football in the street. We played tackle football in the street. That's how bad it was. That's how it was for us. We didn't know no better. We had snow in the street. We didn't care. The cars are parallel parked. The cars were out of balance. You knocked somebody right over top of a car. So it was crazy. It was crazy. But what I didn't realize, because we didn't have an age group requirement, when you play in Sandlot football, you might be 6, 7, 8 years old, and you're playing with an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old on the same field against them. They're tackling you. They're slamming you. But what it was getting me battle tested. Now, I don't know that I advise that in these days, but it prepared me, because I was a small running back. I played running back. I was a small back, but I was used to being hit by big players. My friends were all big. They were all strong. They played football. They wrestled. They boxed. They did all these things, the same sports I did. But it prepared me for when I got to high school and I'm playing against 300 pounders, 6'5". Yeah. But I know I had an offensive line to match that offensive line. So the same thing is, as long as you got an offensive line to match that defensive line, as a small scat back, you shouldn't get touched by those 300 pounders. I used to have to tell my mom, I'm okay. I promise. She was there in the bleachers when I set the rushing record. But she left at halftime because they kept giving me the football. She didn't realize that's a good thing, Mom. I want the ball. I want the ball every play if I can get it, right? And when I went to school, I started plotting out how this has to happen. You had the guidance counselors that would make things happen and would help you with your goals that you set for yourself. So we said, we know I had to have a SAT score of a certain number. We had to have a minimum SAT of 700. It needed to be about a 780 for a full ride. And then I had the scholarship program with the ROTC. So if I did the military, I could also bridge that with the GI Bill. And I did the first stint of leaving Philadelphia was in the Navy, the military. And then the 2 years at College Station, which bridged it in. It helped me get there, right? So being there, and I'm thinking, these are the best players in the state of Texas and all that. So it's difficult to walk on there and just say, hey, I want to play football. Of course, who doesn't? But look at the stock that they have there, right? They don't have to leave the state to recruit. So when I went there, I said, okay, I know this is a place that the draft hits, the Texas schools very well, whether it was the University of Texas, Texas A&M, Texas A&M Commerce, any of the schools, TCU, Baylor. You had a lot of schools that you could choose from, and that launched something for me. So I also had, in '94, I also had to say, okay, now I'm working for Tread Quarters, right? And in the military and Tread Quarters, that brought me to Virginia. So they had an open tryout for the practice league team for the Carolina Panthers. It was their expansion year in 1995. So from 95 to 98, I made the practice team. And the thing was, every year it's a combine for us. Every year. It's just you have a chance to get put up on a roster team. I was
Mhm.
all, I had small hands, and at that time, Gene Lang, Rod Smart, they were the backs, and they were big backs. They were 200 pounds, 215 pounds, and I was 5'8", 185 pounds, and at that time they were looking for big backs, and this was their expansion year, their expansion season. So it was very difficult. I stayed on the practice team. I had a job, and each time it had to come up, and you do the same thing for those 3 years. So my agent was like, "Look, we can keep trying to do this." I wanted to be shopped around. I wanted to be seen by every team, right? I didn't care who would pick me up. I would go play anywhere. But that was one of the things. It wasn't in the cards for me to do that. So the business side of it kicked in. I started working, hustling, and trying to figure out what am I going to do. You know, I always said I wanted to own a business. I wanted to be a business owner if I couldn't be in the NFL. Even if I made it to the NFL, I still would want to have businesses to fall back on, because I was always told that football is not forever. Even if you're a great running back, a Hall of Fame running back, you may have 10, 15 years, and you're still going to be in your 30s, maybe early 40s, and you still got all your life to live. So I said, well, I want to be in business. And I always like talking to people, and I love selling. I love to be able to, meet people, work with people. And that's what brought me into, believe it or not, I sold Kirby vacuum cleaners.
Okay.
Yeah, sold Kirby vacuum cleaners. And I worked at Circuit City as a video sales counselor. And then you have to have another job. Even when you're on a practice team, you got to have another job, because you don't get the kind of paychecks that the roster players get. The checks on Tuesday were very different from the roster team players' checks on Tuesday. I know you can imagine this.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah. These you don't post our income on the TV screens. Nobody cares about that. But the business side started for me in 1999. The real business side. So I ended up getting into the timeshare world. A rep came into the Circuit City that I worked at, and he kept telling us about how he made $10,000 that month. And I said, wow, I could help my mom a lot with that kind of money. I was like, okay. Yeah. So we went up there, and I went up, and the trainer was like, okay, do you have 6 months of your bills in a bank account? Now, at the time, I had $256 in my bank account.
Okay.
And I had a $450 a month rent. That's back in 1999. So I told him, yeah, I got $2,400 sitting there, whatever it might be, because I kept hearing I really wanted to do this. My mother told me about the timeshare part way back in 89. She bought a timeshare so she could come out to the resort in Texas, because by going on an athletic scholarship or having part of an athletic scholarship, you can't live off campus. So when the parents come to visit you, you literally have to be back on campus by 9 o'clock, and you had bed checks at 10.
Wow.
Yeah, this is a military school too, so it's not just agriculture. That's what the A&M stands for. So all of a sudden, I was caught in this dilemma that my mom has a timeshare and it didn't work for her. She kept coming down, but she was staying in hotels everywhere she stayed. The resort exchange wasn't right. So it started out where it was a selfish reason. I needed to get into this business to fix her situation. So I was determined to do this. But I always remembered in the back of my mind what I told her when I was 14, that I was going to give her the world and ask if I could live in it.
Absolutely.
So I saw this kind of money that was coming through there, and I said, I want to find out how to fix my mom's problem and help her financially. So in 99, I slept in the car for 3 months while I was going through training. I never told anybody that this was happening. For 3 months, I slept in the car right here in Hampton Roads, whether between Williamsburg, Virginia, and Norfolk, Virginia. So Williamsburg, Norfolk, Portsmouth, and Newport News, and those areas were the areas I slept in parking lots in my vehicle for the 3 months. So from April, I actually started in March, and I didn't sell my first deal till the end of June of 1999. So I guess the short part of that part is I tell people that 3 months, gave me another level of battle testing. So everything that I have and was able and blessed to have, I had to fight for it. Nothing was given. So by, June of 1999, to 2003, I made my first $1 million. So I went from being homeless to 6 months of 1999. I went from never had made more than 30,000 in a year to making $132,000 in 6 months when I realized that I had to be me. That was the short of it, is I couldn't be them. I had to be me. And then the rest is history. So from 1999, I stayed in the business for 10 years. And then I started open. I said, I want to, I had a friend. I'll tell you this story. I had a guy that next door to me. He was like a father to me. I loved him to pieces. He's still living. So I still love him like this now. He said to me one day when I set the sales record, it was the largest deal in timeshare history. They stopped everything. They did all this great stuff. And they said, what drives you? And they just kept saying, what drives you? And I said, well, they know I've been an athlete. So everything to me is competitive. It's competition. But I compete with myself. I don't compete with others. I compete because I feel like if I'm the best version of myself, that'll be enough. That'll take care of where I could rank.
Right.
So he said, okay, I hear about this record that you broke. His daughter worked for me. So I'm like 28 years old. His daughter came, she's working for me. And she said, Cherokee broke the record. Oh my God, you should see what he did. He did $500,000 in 1 month. He did this crazy stuff. She's telling him all what happened.
Uh-huh.
So he comes over to the building, and I thought he was coming to congratulate me, right? So everybody's hugging me and playing with me. I was like, yeah. So I thought he was going to be like, hey, this is my guy. I'm proud of you. You did it. And I'm saying, why are you looking like that? Because he's looking like he's not impressed, right? And I want him to be impressed because he gave me some really good guidance, and I love him to pieces, right? But he said, come on, let's go outside. So he took me away from all the noise, all the people that were, congratulate me, pat me on the back. And he took me out to the side of the road. He said, you want me to be impressed, right? I said, of course. So he says, you sold all this volume and you made a lot of money, but you sold all this volume for this company. And the company's name was Fairfield Resorts. It's now called Wyndham Resorts now, right?
Yeah.
So I said, yeah. And he said, but look at the sign. It's not your sign. And your shirt, it says Fairfield Resorts on it. I said, yeah, that's who I work for. He said, well, you want to impress me, change the name on your shirt and change the name on that sign. You need to own this. See, they're riding you because you're their stallion. You are selling for them. And he's talking about business. This has nothing to do with anything else. It had everything to do. He saw potential in me that I should be in ownership.
Yes.
You can make a lot of changes in the world if you control the narrative. And the only way you control the narrative is to control the business. So again, here comes some advice that at first I was upset. I was really pissed because I wanted him to jump up for joy and be happy for me. But once again, a fire was lit. And I said, it's time. I need to start working toward ownership. So from 2002, which is when I set that record, to 2006, that's 4 years. I had been working hard. I went to real estate school. I did everything I was doing. I was studying hard. In 2006, I started my company, even while I was still working for the resorts. Because at this time, I was working for Diamond Resorts, right? And then in 2007, I went over and started working for Vacation Village. And so there's 3 resorts here in the area, but they're all systems. Now it was creativity that I was jumping into, like learn all systems that were there so I could help everybody, not just one type of family. So again, it wasn't about money. It was about knowledge. So I'll tell people all the time, don't work for money, work for knowledge. Let money work for you. But when you tell somebody that, you need to be able to show them an example. You need to be able to live that word that you just gave them so they know that it can be done.
Absolutely.
And for the rest of my life, from that period to now, which is 23 years, I've been speaking to schools. I've been a featured speaker at Shark for ODU University for their entrepreneur program, Lafayette High School in the local area, working with at-risk youth, working with business entrepreneurs for the young students. And then it worked into the business format. I created companies from 2006 and up to now. So now it's literally something that just naturally happens. So we have 10 companies now, but they're all affiliated with networking. And like you said, I didn't choose to be a speaker. The speaking chose me. People said people need to hear your story.
I love it. I love it. Listen, I'm just sitting here listening and I'm sucking this in, right? And for all those out there tuning in and we'll be listening in later, we appreciate you chiming in. Hey, AD, and hey, Miss Jamise. Hey, Carla, and I know Sugar Wooger Mitchell chimed in, and Pastor chimed in, and a couple other people chimed in I missed. And we know it's always people out there watching that don't show up. But listen, I want you guys to know I'm sitting here with a phenomenal, still rising motivational speaker. Okay. Not only am I sitting here right now with a phenomenal motivational speaker, he's a consultant. Okay. Not only is he a consultant, he is an author. Okay. Not only is he an author, he's an entrepreneur. So he does so many different things. And can you, for me, Cherokee, and those listening in, I think with your military background, from what I'm hearing,
yes,
some of your upbringing as a youth wasn't always peaches and cream and rosy. And when you take your faith that you have and you combine that, you get a tough young man, but at the same time, you got that mama, you're gonna have that, that compassion as well. Yeah. But what dad taught you that I gotta stand up and still keep my head on the swivel, is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
All of that has translated into you, us meeting and and doing business. And I want everyone listening to know that this is someone, and so if you're looking at me, this is someone that I'm looking to help incorporate in my life and then continue to build me up, my wife up, my family up. And he does this for many other people. Yes. Okay. And for a lot of my audiences listening, in Ohio and different things like that, coaching today is almost like, how can I put it, or even consulting. Would you agree, Cherokee? Like, Black people actually ran away from counseling, from mental health issues. And, wait a minute, he going to be called upon as crazy. He went and got some counseling. He got some stuff. Would you agree that, life coaches and consultants and, business gurus, I just call you a business guru because you kind of like do it all.
Yes.
And don't you agree that more people need to reach out to guys like yourself to take their businesses, take their personal, even if you work in a 9-to-5, listen to me, y'all. We're not saying throw your 9-to-5s away. Those 9-to-5s are beautiful. They pay your bills. They have your insurance policies and things like that. But what we're saying when you listen to this show, if you ever want to get into becoming an entrepreneur and working for yourself, these are the type of people that we're dealing with and you'll see on this show. Okay. Right. Some people do both, entrepreneur, and they still hold a corporate job, but don't you agree that more people need to reach out to motivational coaches and life coaches and consultants like yourself?
Yeah, I do. And this is what I say when I'm speaking. And I don't care where I'm speaking, if I'm speaking to children or I'm speaking to senior citizens, anybody that is trying to become an entrepreneur. I say, if you know anything about Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, right? LeBron James, they have coaches. All of them have coaches, right? So we'll take the superstar of stars, Michael Jordan, for example. 6 titles. All 6 of his titles, he was coached by the same coach, Phil Jackson, right?
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant, one of my favorite players. So I'm naming 2 of them. 5 titles, right?
Mm-hmm.
All 5 titles coached by the same coach that coached Michael Jordan 6, Phil Jackson. So as great as you are, as great as you can be, everybody needs a coach.
Yes.
Because when you're going into things that are uncharted, places you've never been before, you got to be willing to do things you've never done before. And the people that are going to help you get through those hurdles and those obstacles is that coach, because that coach is not there to teach you how to play the game, because you already know how to play your game, whatever it is, right?
Yes.
The coach is there for correction. The coach is there for motivation. When you get weaker and you get tired, they tell you, get up, come on. They're going to hold you accountable to what you say you want. Every entrepreneur I've ever talked to, I've ever spoken to, they've all said the same thing. I say, why do you want to be an entrepreneur? They say, I want freedom. I want to make money, but I want to do it on my terms. I did the same thing. I wanted freedom. Well, freedom comes with a cost. Freedom is not free. This is a military term that we say all the time. Freedom is not free. Somebody had to die so that we had freedom, right?
Yeah.
And we do ourselves a disservice if we don't get a coach. We do ourselves a disservice if we don't find motivational speakers. Because if you're not finding motivational speakers, and I would prefer to say turn into inspirational speakers. There's a lot of my students popping on the screen right now. So there's a lot of good support coming up. But the thing is anytime I'm speaking, I want them to be uplifted. I want them to know that we're in the trenches together. We are in the trenches together. Yes. They need to see you because they know that your trail is already blazed. So what I need to do as your student is walk in your footsteps. That's what you do as an entrepreneur that has a business coach, that has a life coach, that has an entrepreneurial coach, somebody, because it's scary, guys. It's scary. That's the only reason that people stay with their 9-to-5 when they start to understand what true entrepreneurship is. See, true entrepreneurship is you being willing to accept the risk. Right. Everyone's not willing to do that. And that doesn't make them a bad person. They need to keep that 9-to-5, like you said, David, earlier. They keep the 9-to-5 long enough because all of us come from corporate America, right? But you need that because what that does, it give you the battle scars. Yeah. You're not going to stop. You're not going to launch yourself into excellence until you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And the only thing that does that, I hate to say this, but it's adversity. It's being mistreated. See, once you had enough of being mistreated, you're not going to accept it anymore. Once you learn that you can fight, no matter how it happens. We talked about the inner city of Philadelphia. We have to fight. We have to physically fight going to the corner store. Yeah. Right? Because there's somebody that doesn't like you. Somebody, you're smiling too much. Or you got the pretty girl and you talk to the girl I wanted to talk to. In reverse, the ladies are pretty. And the girls that are maybe not as attractive, they don't like that girl just because of the way she looks. I can't tell you how many times my sisters had put baby oil, Vaseline and baby oil on their face. That's how I know they're about to go fight. They will roll their hair up, wrap their hair up, and sit on the porch because all our houses are row houses, right? So everybody can see what's going on. And the guys, we line up in the corner, grouped up. We know we're about to go fight. But what happens is in adult world, in the business world, it's another fight. It's another brand of fight. That fight is you got people that tell you can't do something, you won't do something, you don't do something, and you have to take that stuff and discard it. But what I try to teach people to do is use it for motivation. You're going to have cheerleaders and you're going to have people that say you can't do it. The people that say you can't do it are going to make you dig a little deeper when you say I'm going to prove you wrong because you don't know me well enough to tell me what I cannot do.
Wow. Listen, Cherokee, tell us a little bit about, so again, we had some guests joining in a little later here in the show. We appreciate you chiming in. And Cherokee said that some of his crew came in. Hello, how y'all doing? If I haven't met you, I hope that I soon will if you're in the area. We appreciate it. I want to know about the book. You know, I'm sure, let everybody know what you're authoring.
Okay.
And elaborate on that a little bit and the process of how that went about. You even deciding to write a book.
Okay. Okay, the book is called The Champion Within. Life is simple, it's just not easy. And the book is about my life. It's about different stories, and I take you through kind of like almost like what I'm telling you about now, but it's a little more detailed.
Mhm.
And what started the book was people kept saying, "We need to hear your story. People need to hear this story."
Mhm.
It's like a rags to riches story, and you're local. You're somebody we can touch. So I said, I didn't want to write the book at first because I knew it was going to be emotional. I knew, I lost my mother in 2001. I lost my father in 1993.
Mhm.
So I was very young when I lost my both my parents. Very young, and it would hurt every time I would think about it and start talking about it. But then I found out I was actually being selfish because there were people that were now going through this and they were killing themselves, and they were going into cocoons and in caves, and they weren't coming back out because somebody that they love passed on, and they feel like their life is over. There's nothing that they can do.
Right.
So in 2000, this is amazing. It took me 7 years from when people asked me to do it, started doing it. Back in 2006, I was actually asked to do it. And in 2013, I actually wrote the book. But here's the funny part. It actually took me 3 months to write a book that was in process for 7 years.
Whew.
Yeah. So once I started writing, I kept writing. I would write 10 pages a day, 10 pages a day without fail.
Mhm.
And I would tell myself, suck it up, write some stuff. Okay, now tell them you went into this hole. This is how you got out of it.
Mhm.
The school started buying the book and using it as curriculum, as helping sell. Sales companies were buying the book and giving it to their sales team so they could study it. Because in some of the chapters, it was the rise, and it was, the come up, certain chapters.
Mhm.
It spoke about the come up. It spoke about, leveling off, and how do you make $1 million, and what do you need to do, and how do you set the goals, and
Mhm.
what way do you set goals? Because we're all told it's coming up when everybody's going to do New Year's resolution, right? But
Mhm.
and you heard me say this yesterday. I don't believe in resolutions. I don't believe in New Year's resolutions. I believe in New Year goal. If you set goals, you start today. You don't start January 1st. You start it right now. Because if you mentally start it, you got a pad, you got a pen, and you have the tools that you need. You might want a calculator nearby, whatever you can have nearby.
Mhm.
You start writing down what it is that you want. And I mean, as detailed as you possibly can. And in the book, it tells you about, I have a chart in there. It tells you things. It helps people to set that course. And then, of course, the speaking engagement spun off of the book signings, different programs, leadership. We have a program coming up January 1st. It's starting, and it's called the Change Your Mind, Change Your Life workshop.
Mhm.
And that was spun off of the book,
Mhm.
you know, and people are saying they're getting so much out of it. It's changing the way people are living immediately. As you've seen, there's people that are in that group that we head up here that they just didn't have the type of leadership. They just didn't have somebody say, yes, you can do it. They had people say you can't do it. We need people to say, yes, you can do it. Get up, let's go. And I'm going with you. But don't give up. Don't quit. And that's what kind of drove the book.
So with the book, you said as you did that, and maybe your signings and things like that, the speaking engagement sort of came as from the book.
Yes.
And so now you're incorporating, you got your books going, you got your speaking engagements going now. I
Yeah.
mean, that's incredible. And in terms of your consulting,
Mm-hmm.
um, speak a little bit about that, how you can take a company, someone that may be an entrepreneur, or from a level of getting with a person, if someone wanted to get with you, because I know from getting to know you, everything starts with the mind with you. You know, they're going to have a mindset for this
yes, sir.
coming in.
Yes.
Where do you take them if they want to go, say, I want my business to go, you know, from here to there, or I'm working a 9 to 5, man, I'm making $10 an hour.
Right.
You know, Cherokee. I mean, you know, what do they do? Give people an example of when they come to you, what type of service as a consultant you would give them.
Okay. That's actually a great question. Just last night, I had someone come to me and she's working 2 jobs. She's amazing. She's actually one of my wife's clients. She does nails and she's amazing at that. Millie's World of Nails, plug. But the first thing I did was I gave her a checkup from the neck up. That's what I call it. A checkup from the neck up means it's brutal reality. The brutal reality is this. When you have a 9 to 5, you're already behind the curves, and that's okay. You can still do this, right? Mm-hmm. But this young lady had 2 jobs, right? One of them is full-time. The other one is part-time. So the first thing I did, I had to give her that brutal wake up. Mm-hmm. So I showed her how she's working 75 hours a week, 5 to 6 days, 75 hours. Mm-hmm. So that's 3,750 hours for the year. Okay. So one job was $20 an hour. Another job is $15 an hour. Right. So you would think, in your mind, you would think, okay, that's $35 an hour. No, it's not. One of the jobs is $20 an hour. The other job is $15 an hour. Mm-hmm. It's not combined. So when you calculate the hours divided by the rate, she's actually making $17 an hour. Mm. But she's putting out over 75 hours to somebody else. So she doesn't truly have the energy or time to build her business. So the reason why I say you got to give somebody a checkup from the neck up is because you have to give them the brutal honesty of, where do we get the time? We only have 24 hours in a day. 8 of them you need to sleep. So we're already down to 16 hours, right? Mm-hmm. Now you give a business 8 hours of your day. So now we're down to 8 more hours.
Wow.
You have to go and feed your kids, feed yourself, and get yourself together at home. So let's give that another 3 hours. So now we're down to 5 hours, right?
Exactly.
Where do you have the time if you're working 5-6 days a week like that to build your business?
You don't.
You don't have it. So this is where I say, when the why is great enough, the facts don't matter. Wow. What you have to do is be so hungry. Eric Thomas says this: when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, you're going to be successful. And that's a true statement. You have to be so hungry for success that you're willing to do whatever it takes, as long as it's legal. Legal. I don't teach people to do bad stuff, but you have to carve out time every moment. Give yourself at least an hour to dedicate to your dream. Dedicate to your dream. Don't tell your friends, don't call you, turn your phones off. Right now, I'm on your podcast. My phone's sitting right beside me, but it's not ringing because it's off. I don't want the distraction. I want to give David my attention. I want to give you my attention. You have given me a platform, and the least I could do is not be disturbed by any phones ringing. Mm. It's a mindset, right?
It's a mindset.
Yes, it's a mindset. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to build your business, you start by commit to your business, because without commitment, you'll never start. Without consistency, you'll never finish.
Wow. Man, listen, I'm telling y'all right now, this is a little joke, but it's the truth. We giving you so much game right now. Y'all listen, this is, I think what I want people to take from this, more than anything, I like to hear my phone ring. Hey, David. Hey, Mitch, man, I was watching the show, man, and man, that brother you had on there, Cherokee, man, you think, man, should I holler at him, man? I need to go to the next step. that's the type of stuff we trying to do now. Hey, Dwight, I see Dwight McKinney chimed in. Good to see you, one of my former ball player partners. Absolutely. I appreciate hearing you, seeing you chime in, Dwight. But, you giving this advice, people need to start using it now. We have to have, I'm going to keep saying that until we leave the air, life coaching, okay? Whether it's like my wife, holistic health coach, helping you with healthy eating and your nutrition, because your doctors, that's not what they went to school for. They prescribe medicines and things, and they don't necessarily get into what you should eat in the nature of the body like that. So what we're saying is people like us and people that look like us, let's start taking our blinders off and saying, because when we go to Amazon, the saying, you ain't asking Amazon all these questions, or can I get a break here, or do
give me the hookup.
We need to spend money with each other, and we're getting ready to get into that with the networking with each other too, Cherokee.
Yes, sir.
But I just want people to know that is there a business number too, because that we can throw out there too, and get some things put up for you, Cherokee, because you got your consultant need to start jumping. My degree when I went to school, I was a marketing major, and with me working so much in business now, I have to do that automatically. But it's like, it's nothing that I can't focus on just marketing, because there's more to business than even just marketing.
Yes, sir, for sure.
For what you do, is it a number or something for you? If someone wants some personal one-on-one consulting?
Yes, definitely. The number to reach me and my team will be very happy to set up one-on-one conversations with us is 757-345-5164. Again, 757-345-5164. You can also go to the Share Time Consulting website. You can go to the stctravelstar.com, and that will bridge you off to several entities as far as the Cherokee Edwards Inspires. If you guys follow me on Facebook, it's Cherokee Edwards Inspires. That's the Facebook, and also on Instagram. And like I said, I love to help. That's what I love. That's what I live for. And on Mondays, I do Motivational Mondays. And then on Fridays, I do Inspirational Fridays. Again, I'm really not trying to motivate people. I'm trying to inspire you. The difference is simple. And I had to learn this through time. If I motivate you, I've done it for a moment, just for a moment. Come in, I raise the roof. I go into different companies to get excited. Boom, 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 boom. We jump around. We do all this crazy stuff, and I'm full of energy. So what's going to happen, right? But if I inspire you, it changes your life, because that means something that I said or showed you stays with you. And then you pay it forward. You teach it to others. If it works for you, and it will, because it only doesn't work if you don't work it. Faith without works is dead.
Exactly.
Faith without works is dead. We have to show people. And on a spiritual level, there's a lot of atheists around, and I get it. Even one of my best friends is an atheist. I always say, he says, why do you keep giving God all this glory? And just you, it's you. I said, because if it were me, I would have never slept in the car for 3 months. If it were me, my mother would never have to worry about getting beat up by men and being abused and being in the city. If it were me, I would have changed the narrative when I was born. These things had to be open to me. Doors had to be open that I could not open by myself.
You had to go through what you had to go through.
You had to go through it. So anybody that's out there that's going through something, I want you to know you're not alone. There are ways of contacting people that will tell you, and you can't say, oh, you don't know me. You can't tell me how great I am. Yes, because the same God that's in me is inside of you. And if you want it bad enough, you focus on positivity instead of negativity, you don't have room for failure. Failure will not live with you, because failure and success, they don't live in the same place. Failure creates the success. but you're going to fail forward, not backwards.
Wow. So, Cherokee, someone says, how do you stop others from pulling away from, I guess their dreams? It has to be, their vision, and you can support others, but you have to live, your dreams. So what do you think about that?
How do you stop others from pulling you away from your dream? Is that the question? How is that the question?
Yeah, I believe that's it. Yes.
Okay.
That is the question.
Okay. No, I just want to make sure before I answer. Okay, look. This is going to be some hard truths, but that's what I'm gonna give today. One thing I'm gonna do is be real with you. The way you stop people from pulling you away from your dream is don't tell them your dream. Don't tell them what you're going to do. Let them find out after you do it.
Y'all heard that.
There's too many dream killers. And I hate to say this, sometimes the people closest to you are your dream killer. It's not because they don't like you, don't love you. They do. They even want to protect you. But what are they protecting you from? This is your dream. This is your goal. This is your life. This is your time. You're the one that has to take that journey. You can come back for them, but go get it.
Who do you look up to as a motivational speaker? Who do you look up to in terms of like your own mentorship?
I love Les Brown. I got to meet him in 2001. He actually is the first one that told me you are going to be a dynamic speaker. Don't stop. George Fraser was also with him. He gave me his book and wrote in the book, "Stay the Course." And I was in my early 20s when that happened. So that was a beautiful time. Eric Thomas, another one. Robert Kiyosaki. I always called him my professor, and I never met him physically. I just read all his books and studied them, and I copied a lot of things. Warren Buffett. You need no nonsense people to emulate and to watch. Jim Rohn. You need people that will tell you exactly. And then some of these people are not here anymore. Zig Ziglar, God rest his soul. These are some of the speakers. And really for the ladies, Anetta Powell, and she's good for men too. She's great. Stormy, great. These are people that I definitely listen to. Tony Robbins.
Oh yeah, my wife, she loves Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
And Les Brown,
Les Brown,
one of my favorite, old school, from Ohio, originally out of Columbus. And
you need that. It's like the Papa. That's the Papa Bear. That's what I call him. But yeah, every one of them brings it different, as well as I bring it different. They stay in a lane that they really love. Les is a great storyteller, and he'll make you laugh while he's laughing.
Oh, I'm sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cherokee.
Yes, sir.
And people probably, when they play the interview and they listen to it, they're going to hear a lot of slashes with your career, right? Because you do a lot of different things. Like I said, I just call you, the business guru.
The business guru.
Absolutely. And, what would you say in terms of we're working down about 9 minutes now. What would you say in terms of advice, to individuals who may want to get into the arena of what you're doing? Because you came about this, like you say, you got kind of thrust into it. For those who say, man, this guy's so inspirational, I think I can do this. I want to help companies. I want to, run companies. I want to inspire people. I want to write books. I mean, is there an actual recipe for what you're doing?
Oh, that was an awesome question. That made me stop for a think for a minute. I would say to listen to your spirit, listen to your heart. When you say you want to get into an arena to speak to companies, to entrepreneurs, right? you have to go through your journey. You have to go through your battle. I would tell you some of the things are going to be uncomfortable, but that's where success lives. So go through the uncomfort, come out on the other side, and you have a story to tell immediately. Don't shy away from it. Take a pad out and start to document your life. Document things that has happened to you, good and the bad, right?
Journal. Yes.
Yeah, create your journal. It's very important that you chronicle things that happen, because you're going to have to reflect back on that. When you say you want to hit a stage and you want to talk to teenagers in a high school, you have to bring energy. You can't talk to them in a monotone fashion,
right,
because you lose them.
Absolutely.
Right? Now, when you go into a church setting or you go into a business where they're 80 years old and you're speaking to them on any level, right? Now you may have to dial it back a bit, right? Because too much will blow their heads off, and they like looking at you like you about to go crazy in here.
Right.
And they might be scared of you instead of trying to be motivated by you.
Right.
So I would say that, and I would say everybody has a story to tell. Everybody has a story to tell. So everybody can write a book.
Mm-hmm.
But what I tell people that ask me about the book, make sure you come through something first. Don't write the book as you're still sitting in it. They need to know that you weathered the storm and you came out on the other side.
Makes
the
a lot of sense.
story can't start and end in disaster.
Like that.
Right?
Excellent. Listen, he does so many things, Cherokee Edwards, y'all. Tell us, I'm trying to think, because you got so much on your resume. You doing some podcasting yourself, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Speak a little bit about that. How's that
podcast? That's it. That started up the Inspires, right? We got several seasons up, over 200 episodes on it. And what I do with the podcast is sometimes, like this one, I'll do an interview with someone, and then some of them I'm on there alone, and I'm talking about topics that people have asked me to cover.
Okay.
Well, I sit there and I'll go over those topics. I'm going to say this. I know a lot of people are going to go crazy on this part, but I get up at 2 a.m. I work out between 2 and 3 a.m. Then I'm on the podcast generally by 4. So it's still dark outside when I do it. And I did that all last year. And I did it to show people what discipline looks like. Because some people are like, oh my God, I can't do this. I can't do it. No, you can find the time. You just don't want to. It's not that you can't do it. You don't want to do it, because 2 o'clock in the morning is man-made. Man-made 2 o'clock in the morning. You use that to your advantage. If you're up at 2 in the morning and your area doesn't start business till 9 a.m., you have a 7-hour head start. By the time you're done working for 8 hours, people are just waking up, getting into their job. You ain't working on the street no more. So the podcast, one of the podcasts was simply about the discipline of getting up. Wow. Now watch this. If you're getting up that early, then it takes discipline to take your butt to bed by 6, 7 o'clock p.m.
Exactly.
But how bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? So that's what the podcasts are all about. That's on it, and you can follow that. That's on Anchor, and it's on the Apple Podcast. It's on even this one. It's on all the social networks of podcasts.
Listen, y'all. Listen, y'all see. This is, this is what we smiling at. This is the good part. Let's get pumped. Let's that motivational energy, because I'm happy. Exactly. Woo, 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 woo. Let's go. Because that's what we need. We need this. Yeah. And we you're living in a world where it's hustle and bustle. Yes. People moving. It's so much going on. I've been so busy today, and I just try to be transparent. I've been so busy today. I'm usually at least in a blazer and a button up or something, when I come on and I do this show, because of sports and business. But I had to just be sports for the first time on this particular platform, because I've been so busy today.
That's right. That's
right. And I met with me and my wife, with one of your
one of my students,
wonderful students today, Miss Rachel.
Rachel, that's right.
A wonderful time,
right?
business owner, y'all. Healthy eats,
Yes.
incredible food,
Awesome.
vegetarian style.
Awesome.
And you guys got to get out there for your Newport News and get
Yes.
some of that vegetarian food. She cook it like nobody. You won't even know if you're not vegetarian when you're eating this food. You
No,
don't know.
you won't.
I mean, it's incredible. So, listen, you guys, I want you to know it's been a phenomenal show for me to have as I continue to grow in all of my endeavors. I want you to be remiss if I didn't, mention your wife again,
Yeah,
Miss
appreciate it.
Janice. You want
Yes.
me to give you a shout out, Miss Janice. You're doing some phenomenal things behind every king is a wonderful queen.
Yes, it
You know,
is. All day.
my wife out, Dr. Linda Mitchell, every show, still
Yes.
opening up the doors for.
Got to. Got
Been
to. She's
together
a queen for a
13
reason.
years,
Queen for a
only
reason.
going on, well, 6 years, but together 13. And it's the little things. Can
Yes.
you, before we go, speak a little about, your family support? You can't do it all by yourself.
No, sir. Matter of fact, my queen is my backbone, and she's been. And I know people say that all the time. She's been my number one supporter, my number one cheerleader. We're coming up on 19 years of being together and being married for 18 years.
Congrats.
We were really young when we got married, which was cool, and we pretty much grow together. Yes, I appreciate it. And like I said, when the why is great enough, the facts don't matter. And your why has to be more than yourself. You cannot do this alone. Mm-hmm. I don't care how strong you are. I don't care how fast you are. I don't care how talented you are. You have to have a supporter that believes in you, so they will believe in your dream.
Yes.
And they will help push your dream even when you're tired to push it. So, like you said, special shots out. That's what I call her. She is my queen. She'll never open a door. She'll never have to pull her chair out. She'll never have to look for me. I'll be right there with her. She has supported me in all of the endeavors, whether she was sure it was going to work or not. She said, if you're doing it, I'm doing it with you. And she spread her wings, David, to open her wings up right during the COVID situation. Normal people would say, don't open no business and nails when they shutting down all this stuff. She had people, we're in Williamsburg, Virginia. She had people coming from New York, New Jersey, driving down here to get their nails done. And she's created basically an environment that the women love. So we created a queen's experience and king's experience, because men come too, get their nails done, get their pedicures, everything. Yeah. It's the environment. It's what happens. How does it feel? It's the experience that they come for. And that's because of her spirit. So, like I said, nothing that I am right now could I be without that queen. I have been with her longer than I've been with my parents. That tells you something.
Absolutely. They say, when a man get out on his own and he find a wife, he gets that favor, and you cling away from your mom as a child and you go into your wife, and it's a vice versa thing. It's a mutual thing. You guys are one now, and continue blessings to you. The networking, quickly before we go.
Yes, sir.
What would you say to people in terms of networking and the importance of it before we close out the show?
Okay. First of all, for anybody looking to do business and become successful at it, you cannot be successful unless you create a great networking team. You must assemble. You must, with like-minded individuals, not just people. They got to be the right people. They have to be selfless people. They have to be people that want to see you rise. They have to want to do what you want, right? And you, in return, have to want what they want. That's what creates a great team. Think about it. You're one person, but if you're part of a networking team of 20 people, that means there's 21 of you that are networking your business. So now all of a sudden you got 20 marketers, you got 20 salespeople, you have 20 people that are your social and digital marketing. So they're putting your stuff on their sites. Hey, guess what? Once that goes, you never know where those referrals are coming from. but you better be ready. See, that's the key. That's the most beautiful thing, because now it's all up to you. How bad do you want it? Networking is the way to go.
Y'all listen, and I attended for the first time. He has it's business on the move. And listen, it's a phenomenal group of people, right? And what they do is they sit around a big circle and we pass business cards. We share our ideas. We shop with one another's businesses, and we try to incorporate how we can help each other grow from that. Just elaborate a little bit quickly on business on the move before we close, Jerry.
Yes, sir. Well, one of the things, and I appreciate you for bringing that up, business on the move is simply that. Businesses on the move in the same direction. And you and your queen did an amazing job yesterday. And I know you can attest to that. We're using your products right now, but we cleaned you out yesterday, didn't we?
Yes.
We cleaned you out. That's purposely done. We clean you out. And the business on the move, we are encouraging people to do business with each other right then and there, right now. You don't have to say, "Oh, I'm going to buy your stuff one day. I'm going to do
this
right now, right?" And we're not used to that. We're used to people being shy. We're used to people saying, "Oh, okay, give me your business card. I'll call you at some point." So we give one specialist a spotlight. You guys were the spotlight, and you did amazing yesterday. Every week, we are doing a spotlight on a business to talk to us about how we can participate in the growth of their company. Once again, networking is the only way it works. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Makes the dream work.
Hey.
Oh, man. I love it. Y'all listen. Before we close, it's been a phenomenal interview. I appreciate it, man. Just a chop-up session on business and some sports thrown in. Listen, on my show, I'm going to have I wanted to mention this to you too. Well, we talked off camera from Westchester, from Philadelphia. Coming on the show will be Fredia Gibbs. I had advertised and post that. One of your homies from Philadelphia area. The first female, y'all listening? First female African-American martial MMA, mixed martial arts champion in the world. Now, she was a little bit, before Layla Ali and, Nunes and some of the women.
Yes.
If you guys follow female boxing. But she's not only a boxer, this next guest coming on the show, y'all, but she's a world champion kickboxer and MMA champion from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Fredia Gibbs. Y'all Google that. She's the only woman has a statue, a bronze statue outside of Bruce Lee and Claude Van Damme in the world. So she coming on. She the first woman ever. She the first woman ever come on this pay-per-view. They got paid on pay-per-view. So
you something when you have to pay to see her.
She got a phenomenal story. So just be looking forward to that. But this is how things work. And when you network and you got friends, when people busy and people can't be there and things, you got guys come in. Look, just like this, it's holiday time. We just being transparent. We working together. Boom. You got somebody that came on the show tonight that gave you, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars worth of knowledge and game tonight. And that's all I got to say. It's been a wonderful, wonderful show. We're going to have you back. I got to get to your podcast. You got to get back on this show. We had your wife on the show with you. Had your wife come back on the show with you as well. And we'll continue to grow from there. But straight from the source, appreciate you, Black Olympics, the whole audience, everybody out there in social media. Continue to show more love, more support, and the world will be a better place. Y'all look up Cherokee Edwards. Y'all get out here to 757 and see him. Give him a call. We virtual now. Tell him he's virtual. He do it all.
Let's do it. There's no excuses. No excuses. Only solutions.
Ain't no excuses. Only solutions. All right, y'all. We are out of here. We'll see you again next Wednesday, 8 p.m. straight from the source.
Love
y'all.
you.
Take care.
Take care. God bless.
Be blessed.
All right.
Cherokee,
a 10-year-old founder of a company. Meet Carter, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.